Welcome back to A Bard in Skyrim. My name is Ricky. This is Daniel. Last week, Daniel got in a little bit of trouble with the law when he was trying to help kill some cultists. We learned a new shout, and we helped 2 citizens of Whiterun. This week, Daniel has decided that he needs to, at the very least, go to the Bard's College in Solitude and inquire about joining. And then after that, we'll probably head to Ustengrav because, you know, the Greybeards want us to get the horn, which I'm totally sure will be there. I did, before I started recording, go back to Iverstead and get all the stuff off of the cultists and sell most of it. I didn't sell the ingredients that were on them. Also, one of them has Staff of Frostbite, which I'm going to keep for reasons.
I can take you to any of the hold capitals.
Alrighty. We want to go to Solitude.
Climb and back and we'll be off. First time to Solitude? Beautiful old city.
And Solitude. Hello, Solitude. That guy's getting executed because he let Ulfric Stormcloak leave after he murdered the High King. I'm not going to stick around to listen to it. Anyway, so I'm going to just real quick actually clarify any comments that I have made about the shout mod that I created. First of all, I increased the damage of Fire Breath and Frost Breath. I have not told you by how much. It used to be 50, 70, and 90, and now it's 50, 75, and 100 per word. Also, the improved shouts perk that I created improves the Fire Breath and Frost Breath shout by 25%, and then 50%, and then it doubles their power. And each level improved shout is at 25, 50, and 75 of speech. Also, real quick, haggling improved Fire Breath and Frost Breath by 10%. It improved their damage by 10%. Now it does not. So last week, when we were using Frost Breath, it was doing 10% more damage than it will do this week. And I upped the difficulty to Adept, which is the average normal difficulty. So that's going to be fun. All right, Bard's College. You. I wish to speak to you.
Bard's College. I'm the headmaster here. Always a pleasure to meet a prospective bard. You should be aware that many apply, but we accept very few people.
Oh, you're gonna want me.
When possible, we ask applicants to perform tasks the college needs completed.
Sure.
In this case, I do have a task befitting an aspiring bard.
Like what?
Elisif has forbidden the burning of King Olaf, a festival put on by the Bard's College. We need to change her mind. To convince her, I want to read King Olaf's verse. Part of the Poetic Edda, the living history of Skyrim. Unfortunately, the verse was lost long ago.
And that's where I come in.
Yes, according to Giraud, our history's keeper, the portion of the Edda dealing with King Olaf might still exist in Dead Man's Respite. I need you to retrieve the poem.
Okay, Ustengrav. To get a horn. That will definitely be in that dungeon, and certainly there won't be a note there in its place. If there is one thing I am sure of, it is that the Greybeards know that no one else has somehow managed to break into Ustengrav and get the horn. Oh, there's a dragon. Dragon. Dragon, I wish to kill you and take your bones. I know, that sounds insane. Oh, by the way, this is the dungeon that has one of the words of Frost Breath in it. We're not going to get, don't worry about it. Dragon! Come on, hit him. By the way, our Blessing of Talos is almost over, so we will not have quite as fast a shout recover time. It's practically automatic at this point. Dragon! Stupid dragon. Doesn't want to fight. I wonder if that's one of the flying around dragons. It doesn't ever land. Just flies around, doesn't attack. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about Daniel leaving Valenwood, or more specifically leaving his family, his village, and starting his trek across the across Tamriel to to learn stories and try and be a bard. How did you not get hit with that? So, there was a very specific incident that I'm not going to talk about today. I'm going to talk in more broad strokes terms. But there was a very specific incident that happened that I will briefly mention, but I'll go into more detail about it at another time because it deserves its entire episode by itself. But first, before I get into that, I'm going to kill me a sorcerer. I hope.
Lucky here. We got ourselves a hero.
There we go. There we go. Booyah. Yes, this constant looting thing will probably get me in trouble, and I will inevitably have to drop stuff. But until that happens, so I'm going to get in a little bit of a stealth mode here, because those two right there will head off to try and kill some Draugr in a minute. But I think I have to get... maybe I don't have to get too close. Here's the thing about Daniel. He has always felt like the outcast. You know, he doesn't... he doesn't like to fight. He doesn't like violence that much. You know, he has no problem with defending himself, with attacking, but he's never really been good with weapons. I've mentioned this before. This has always made him feel a little bit like an outcast because everyone else in his family, in his clan, in his group, did. They love it. They love fighting a lot. So that in and of itself has always made him feel like a little bit of an outcast. Now, he's, you know, been okay at making potions. He's been decent at other things. But, hello. Goodbye. No goodbye. No goodbye. There we go. As he grew up and he got closer to being, for lack of a better word, of age, being an adult, he started to think about leaving. No matter what he was thinking about, it always felt like he was maybe abandoning his family. Nope, familiar, you're gonna die. Sorry. Oh, they're still fighting down there. Okay, so there is definitely still someone alive over here. Or they killed each other at the same time, which would be just as good. Nope, they killed each other at the same time. That is fantastic. Even though he did have some good feelings about his family, because... oh yeah, so Frost Breath isn't going to be quite as effective against the Draugr. What with them having, you know, 50% resistance to frost, like all Nords. So we're just going to get this stacking up real fast. And down they both go. You know, he has older brothers. And they're all warriors. And they frequently went to war. I did not mean to pick that up. So even though, as I talked about last week, there were points where he started to feel more and more accepted by them as he was able to, you know, boost morale and get them to, you know, like go to war or help them go to war or whatever, and help them win the battle. He never really clicked, you know, with any of them. Now, he did have a really good friend who was very similar to him in the sense that they both were kind of non-violent. But his friend was a true pacifist. He has never been against fighting. He just sucks at it, so he's always been against fighting. Now, around this time, there was some discussion among his village about the Green Pact. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Green Pact is, it's basically, it boils down to don't hurt nature. Great. To the point where they don't take like they won't even like Bossum or Wood Elves won't even like take. Okay, so we're gonna skip a large part of this dungeon real fast. They won't even cut down trees to make their homes. It's important to know, I think for the purposes of this argument, that the majority of the homes in this area were built out of stone, but none of them were built out of wood that was cut down. There was one house that was built out of some trees that had fallen naturally. They were older trees and they fell. So that's sometimes questionable too, to be clear. Also, I am not an expert on the Green Pact. There is one incredibly controversial section of the Green Pact, and that's the part where they kill and eat their enemies. The cannibalism part. It's a part that's seen as not great. So, basically what happens is when they go to war, when Bosmer go to war, if they are rigid adherents to the Green Pact, and not all of them are, I believe, they will take their fallen enemies and then eat them. And if that sounds disgusting, it's because it kind of very much is disgusting. But I guess it's seen as like an honorable thing. I don't understand it in the slightest. Also, and I'm going to be clear about this, I could be wrong. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am an expert on the Green Pact, on wood elves in general. Like, I have enough knowledge to make up crap about Daniel, and that's about it. Anyway, so there was a discussion, and this is not an argument that happened in this village that was just one side or the other. This was a multi-side thing, because there were people who were like, we need to adhere to this strictly, so that means eating our people that were once alive and now we've taken their lives. We need to eat them. Then there were some people who were like, the Green Pact is stupid and we shouldn't adhere to it at all. Right? Like, some people believe that getting anything from the ground is bad. That includes plants. That includes vegetables. Daniel has never been a strict adherent to any kind of element of the Green Pact. Also, I don't really know if that vegetable thing is accurate in terms of Elder Scrolls lore, but it is for the purposes of this story. You can feel free to correct me if I am wrong. It's not that big a deal. I don't mind being wrong. So, there were these pretty passionate, might be the best way to describe it. Passionate fights that were going on around the time that Daniel was starting to come of age and starting to think about maybe he didn't need to be around these people anymore, that maybe he should, that he could leave. This is something that no one had really ever done. Like, the only people who had ever left the village had left because they died. And so he didn't tell anyone he was thinking about leaving, don't get me wrong. But he did not like the he didn't like the conversations surrounding the Green Pact. He felt like, you know, if you wanted to adhere to a very strict interpretation of it, that was fine with him. If you wanted to just eat whatever you wanted to eat and do whatever you wanted to do, that was also fine with him. Oh, yeah. That is so much easier when you can just tap the shout button twice in a row. So, that was a big... Ow. It was a big deal to him. That everyone just kind of get along. You know, he's always tried to be a peacemaker. Even though, you know, he made a name for himself with the whole sending people to war thing. No, there we go. Booyah! So Daniel's always wanted to be a peacemaker, but he's kind of known that, like, war is a part of his it's a part of his family's life. Also, real quick, you cannot shout the spiderwebs down. I have tried multiple shouts and none of them will break the spiderwebs. They might break it a little bit. It might be like that thing in Mazolft where you can shout Frost Breath at it once and it'll move, but you still got to hit it with some sort of frost spell. There was an incident in the last one of these fights, and that was the moment Daniel decided he was done, that he couldn't be here anymore and he needed to leave. Mysterious note. No, this is where the horn should be. Dragonborn, I need to speak with you urgently. Rent the attic room at the Sleeping Giant Inn in Riverwood and I'll meet you. A friend. You know, for someone who calls him the Dragonborn, later this person will say, are you sure you're the Dragonborn? You called me the Dragonborn in your note. Sorry. I don't like to rant, and I know occasionally I do this in these videos. So Daniel, after this incident, which I'll get into in another week, he decided he was done. He packed up his things the next day after this incident, and now I'm over encumbered. So Daniel packed up his things the next day, and then in the middle of the night, he took off. He took off with his friend. The two of them decided they were going to leave. They were leaving together, and they were going on an adventure. And now they didn't leave Valenwood right away. They actually traveled around Valenwood for a little while, which I'll get to. But as you can see, his friend isn't with him anymore. So that's another story for another day. We finally made it to the Bard's College. Took us a few episodes, but we finally made it, and they've sent us on a quest that we will get to, I promise. But we do need to figure out who took this horn, because the Greybeards seem to really, really want it, and to be honest with you, I don't want to piss off the Greybeards. Would you want to piss off the Greybeards? This has been a Bard in Skyrim. Thank you for watching, and come back soon for more Skyrim.